Let's begin with mod vase number 1. Mod vase number 1 is possibly the easier of the three because it has the 4 sides. We have the side pieces here, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is our base, and this is the rim that we'll set inside to give it a nice little finish at the top. And then these pieces will go down on the inside here, which will cover up your glue tabs and give it more of a finish. So now that you're aware of what these pieces are, I have my glue and my bone folder. So let's go ahead and put it together. We're going to start by assembling the sides. I've already taken my bone folder and creased all of the pieces. Put the glue tabs down, make mountain folds, and then this is a mountain fold and this is a valley fold. It kind of goes up like that, and with the base as well. So I've already done all that, so we can go ahead and get started. We're going to start by attaching them all together. Okay, we're going to line this up. Okay. All right, I want to make sure that the top lines up nicely and that the bottom is squared off nicely. And then we're just going to go ahead and continue with our next one. I love the Silhouette brand chipboard. It's easy enough to cut. I did use a double cut on the settings, but it cuts clean, and I don't have any of the little shred and the little dusty pieces that you get when you use a lot of chipboards. And it's thin enough that it cuts nice, and it's thick enough that it will withstand a lot of the treatments that I want to use. All right, now we're going to go ahead and add the bottom. And to do that, I'm just going to liberally apply some glue there to the glue tabs. Oops. And then I'm going to go ahead and square this up. You want to make sure all 4 of your corners are square so it doesn't get all skewed like that. You want it nice and nice and straight. All right. I'll take my bone folder along the bottom of the inside here so I can make sure that it's attached. And there we go. All right, now we need to add the top. The top is pretty easy. I've folded all of the little glue tabs inwards, and I'm going to pull one of them back out. Make sure the glue tabs go in and out easily. Okay. And to begin with, I'm just going to do one side so that we can make sure that one side is anchored nicely. Take my time with this side. Push that down in there. All right, that should be set pretty good. Okay, I'm going to put the rest of the glue tabs towards the center. I'm going to add a little bit of glue to each one, paying extra attention to make sure the glue goes all the way to the end. Now, if I were using a decorative paper for this instead of the chipboard, I would be a little more careful with the glue. But at this point, I'm not too worried because I know I'm going to paint this. So, making sure all the tabs are on the inside, and I'm just going to kind of fold it in there. There we go. Just kind of fiddle with it a little bit. Keep it as straight as possible. Okay, to make Mod Vase 2, we have some very different shapes. We have all these intertwined polygons that are going to make the base. We have a strip here that's going to make the neck of the vase. And then we have the rim piece as well as 5 of the covering panels on the inside so we don't see our glue tabs. This one doesn't take very long, so let's go ahead and get started. There are a lot of glue tabs on this one, but you'll notice they're very small. I've gone ahead off camera and made sure that they were nicely creased and folded upwards here to make valley folds along the whole thing, and make sure that these are hinged nicely and fold back and forth easily. All right, we're going to start. This is the center, which is also the base, and then these 5 here are going to go and work upwards. So I'm just going to randomly pick one of these 5, and we're going to apply glue to one of the sides and just work on up. I love this look. It's more of a low poly type look, but it doesn't, it's easier to put together. So, and we're going to match, and it just wants to fall right in line. So we're going to match it right up there. Remember, we're working on those 5 center polygons there. I'm going to flip that out of the way. And then I'm going to go ahead and work counterclockwise here. So here's our next glue tab. We're going to line that one up with that one. I'm going to turn it over just for a second, so I can make sure that they're lining up nicely, which they are, but I need to hold it for a second longer to let that glue stick. Alright, we've gotten 2 of them down here. Put that out of the way. And then we're working our way counterclockwise, remember? So we have our next one. I'm applying glue to the outside so it'll adhere to the inside. And I can see on with my fingers on the back, I can feel that it's lined up. Just like that. Okay, and I'm moving along here. Alright, and this is the last of the 5 concentric center polygons. Okay, there we go. I'm going to let that set for just a moment so it doesn't pop off like that one did. I'm usually so impatient, and I don't know why. Guess I get excited. Press against the table. Make sure it's stuck down well. Okay, so you can see where we're at here. Now we're just going to work up to the next level and put these last ones on. So I'm going to start here. And it's going to attach inward. Okay, so you can see this is where we're at. There's our centerpiece, there's our 5. So I'm going to pick the next one here. And we're just going to go around in a circle like we did before. Add a little glue to there. Okay. Now this one has it on both sides because it's going to come up and in. So I want to make sure that this has a nice solid crease. I'm going to use my bone folder here. Okay, on both sides. I'm going to add some glue to both sides of this one. I'm going to put them both in at the same time. Make sure the top lines up neatly. These right here. Okay. I don't know why. I think because of its shape, this one's possibly the most enjoyable. Okay, we're going to do the next one there. And we're just going to work concentrically. We're just going to keep going around counterclockwise. They just kind of fall into place. It looks confusing, I'm sure, when you're watching it, but it's really not. Once you start doing it, it's pretty intuitive. Okay, so now this one, we're going to add glue to both sides again. And they just kind of fall into place there. You can kind of see it just wants to go in the right direction. Now that we're getting towards the end, you're going to have to get your fingers inside there to get in there and make sure those corners match up. Okay, and then here we have our last two. Well, three, counting this one over here. All right, we're going to apply that one in there. It's hard to see, I'm just sticking my fingers down in there. There we go. If you want, you could actually use it like this. Put a little succulent on the top or a cute little plant. Of course, we're talking about paper plants. Obviously, you can't put a real plant in there. Well, you could, but you'd have to be really darn careful when you water it because, you know, it's paper. Now we're ready to go on to the second part. To make the neck, we're going to use this. And what I'm going to do here is go ahead and close it up. Set this aside here. You'll find when you're working with chipboard, you might need to use a little extra glue because they, you know, it has more of a weight that it has to adhere. So keep that in mind. All right, so there we have that. I'm going to take one of the glue tabs and anchor it down before we do the other ones. Okay. So I'm going to take one of these. Stick it on the inside right there, and this is kind of tricky. And I've got my fingers on the inside here and one on the outside, and I'm just going to hold it there and just let it dry somewhat so that we have a nice anchor. Okay, and you can kind of see, whoops, from the inside. Just stuck it right on the inside there. And now that leaves me with the remaining four. I'm going to stick the glue on the four of them. Alright, I'll kind of fold them in a little bit, but outwards. Because I'm going to just go ahead and plop those in right in there, and we're going to line up our corners. And I've got my hand inside down here. I'm just working my way around and kind of holding it, matching it up with the corners. And my fingers, I don't know if you can see, are down inside, so I'm using like the pinching gesture here to keep it the glue, because the tab is right here. All right, and now we have a neck on there. Okay. Now we're going to do what we did with the Mod Vase 1, and we're going to attach this right on the inside to give it a nice lip. First things first, I'm going to go ahead and apply some glue on one of the sides, and I'm going to anchor that just like I did with the other. So I'm working again on the inside with my fingers there. Make sure that's good and stuck. All right, it is very, very, very good. All right. I almost stick some glue on the rest of these. I'm just going to kind of stick it down in there like a little lid. Making sure all these little guys get inside there is tricky. Better make sure our edges stay nice. Okay. All right, I'm going to let that dry so I don't mess with it too much. Okay? All right, we'll see you for the next vase. All of my pieces are cut, and now I'm ready to assemble mod vase number 3. Now, if you look at some of the pieces for this, you are going to notice that they resemble some of the elements from the other vases. For instance, this is a very similar element from mod vase number 1. This is a very similar element from mod vase number 2. So this will coordinate nicely with the grouping and help tie all the vases together to make a nice cohesive set. We need to keep in mind that these elements here are very similar to these. These have more tabs, so we're going to keep that in mind. And we're going to want to go ahead and pre-fold all of our score lines, and we can go ahead and get started. To begin assembly, we are going to keep in mind that this is what we want. This is our base, and this is our next set that's going to be on top. Even though we normally put the base on the bottom, I'm going to leave that open for a little while so that I can get my fingers in there to help hold some of the pieces. So I'm going to set that aside for just a little bit. I'm also going to set this aside, and we're going to go ahead and group these together. Okay, so there we have this piece. Let's go ahead and take this, and we're going to connect it end to end. It has 5 segments as well. Okay, this is the glue tabs down here. This is where we are going to attach to the base, so we're going to leave that alone. These, however, we're going to go ahead and attach here. So we're going to attach these together. Oh, I must have bumped that or something. I'm going to take and attach one to start with, and that's going to anchor it there. Okay, to make sure that that one is corner to corner, edge to edge, very nice and neat, so that that way the rest of them will just fall in line. Okay, we'll fold that back there, and then apply glue to the remainder 4. Oops. Okay, that little tab there that came down. All right, then these I'm going to move up just a little bit. Then go ahead and start securing them in place. Had I not intended on painting this, I think I would be a little more careful with the glue getting all over. Okay. All right, there you can see from the top here, they're all secured and ready to go. I'm going to set that aside here, dry for just a second while I work on the others. Okay, our next segment is going to look like this. All right, first I'm going to set that there. And then we're going to have these. All right, so I'm going to start with these and these. Let me put that aside for a second. And I'm going to hook these end to end as well. All right, I'm going to leave that set for a little bit. Okay, in vase number 1, we used a piece that was similar to this as our body of the vase. In this vase, we're going to use these pieces as the neck, and there are 5 instead of the 4, so our vase will be 5-sided. So let's go ahead and start connecting them. Just going to add some glue to all 3 of the tabs. Notice we have a mountain fold, a valley fold, and then it goes back up. And then we're just going to go ahead and attach these corner to corner. And I'm using my finger on the inside here, my middle finger and my thumb to kind of pinch them together to make sure that the seam is solid. close it up. All right. Okay, we're going to have to be careful. It might be a little bit wet, but I want to go ahead and attach this to the piece that we just previously worked on. So we're going to make, we're going to set it up like this. And I'm going to do it now so that I can get my fingers up in there easier. All right, I'm going to take the one tab, I'm going to anchor it. You can see I've got my fingers in there. Kind of pinching it together to make sure it's a good seal there. All right. And now I'm ready to move on to the other pieces. So what I'm going to do here is go ahead and just add glue to the 4 remaining tabs. I'm going to leave them stick up just a bit. Okay, we already have our shape made, so these will slide right in. I'm taking the one opposite the one I did, or close to opposite, doesn't have to be exact. And I'm going to take that one and hold it in place. And I'm pinching in there. You can see the tab's right, well, you can't see, but I can feel that the tab is right here. And then I'm going to rotate it a little bit, make sure. Looks like that one's popping up a little bit. There we go. You want to try and get them as straight as possible so your vase doesn't lean to one side. That would stink. Looks good. All right, so we have this piece. Now let's go ahead and attach this piece to this piece, and we're going to do it in the same way, except it's going to get a little tougher to do because I can't get my fingers all the way up in there. So we're going to have to be careful here. And I'm going to do like I did before, where I'm going to start. Actually, I'm going to pull it this way. I'm going to make the tab anchor. I'm going to anchor one tab here. To help get us going. So I'm just going to hold that for a second. I love using this chipboard. I really do. I don't think that it doesn't split like some of the chipboard does, and it cuts easy. I did a double cut with it, and it came clean off the mat. I really like it a lot. You know, you can use a cereal box or something like that too, but sometimes when you go to bend it, it will split, and that's not good. So I really do like this. All right, so we're gonna close that up just like it reminds me of this one reminds me of an I Dream of Jeannie bottle. Not quite to that extent, but I do love it. I think that this style bottle with the angles, or vase, I keep saying bottle because I said the genie bottle. I think that this style of vase works well with a lot of different decors. Okay, I'm just kind of inserting it in there. Can you see? All right. And then I'm going to stick my fingers as far up as they go. Actually, let me grab my... There it is. I think that this style of vase, the three of them in the set, will go really well with a contemporary home, depending on the papers and finishes you choose. I can see a mid-century influence, especially, with the different colors. I can also see it being done in a home that has a really cool boho modern minimalist. I don't know. I can see a lot of different styles. Okay, looks great. This has a lot of wet pieces, so I'm going to set this aside for a minute before I put the top on. I think at this point, though, we can go ahead and add the bottom. Alright, that fits on there real nice. Turn it over. Stick my... I have to get something longer to make sure those tabs are... Okay, I think it's still a little bit tacky, but we're gonna keep on moving on. Okay, so we're gonna slide them up underneath here with the long end at the top, and it'll slide right in there corner to corner, and it'll cover up those glue tabs. You'll be able to see it a little bit easier when I get a couple more on. Shove it right up to the top there, and make sure it goes down in the corner and down in this corner. Alright, so you can see it's starting to look more finished. How about it's just starting to look finished? Right. Two more. Okay. One more and we're all set. Down in that corner. Oops. And those will just nest right in up next to each other. Okay. All right, there, now you can kind of see down in there. You don't see the glue tabs, so that makes it a little cleaner looking. Let's do that. All right, so I am going to work on letting this dry. Oh, something I didn't mention on the other ones. These pieces, if you want to just slide them in like this and glue them down, you can do that without the rim.